All right, let's run that, roll that beautiful bean footage.
Exactly. I just realized I should probably edit that to include the game stuff. Ooh, are you okay? Are you frozen? Hello. It looks like we may have lost ourselves a Greg. We'll see what happens, see if he comes back. Come on, Greg, don't let me do this by myself. All right, looks like his computer probably crashed for a moment, so we'll give him a moment, see if he comes back. Anyway, this is, give me 2 seconds to see, hopefully he comes back. Instead, you will watch me drink this refreshing juice. That is definitely not 90% tequila and like 10% POC. It's definitely not that.
All right.
And he's back.
Fucking back. My internet just died, along with all the other technical issues I've just been running through in the last 30 seconds. I guess it's more like 10 minutes at this point.
I've been
my internet died.
With my viewers, which is
drinking
booze.
All right, so welcome to Frankenstein House. I'm G. Alexander. This is Bon Wood, and we're going to be talking about some horror comics today.
Goddamn right.
Yeah, how are you doing this week?
Better than you, I guess. I mean, with all the technological problems to start, and then the internet dying. I mean, we're having a similar weird internet issue here too. That Comcast, of course, is just oblivious to figure out how to fix. Like, I do love it when a tech comes over and is like, "Are you sure it's not your computer?" And I'm like, "I don't know, Dave. I'm not dumb when it comes to technology, but I'm pretty sure I should be getting this consistent speed if I'm plugged directly into it." Oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Other than that, I'm doing all right. We went down to North Bend to get some cherry pie from the diner. So they're doing like takeout. So have you seen it since they've redesigned it a little bit when that couple took over?
No, I'm not.
They've done some cool stuff. Some subtle things, but I remember the last time we were there earlier this year when we came up, it looked a little bit different. So how have you been doing?
Oh, I've been just wrestling with a lot of things, including apparently technical problems with my fairly new laptop, which is a wonderful thing to have. I have these shitty. So apparently, it's got these this Realtek audio sound card speaker thing, and as you can hear, it is picking up audio via the microphone, but it is absolutely not in any way, shape, or form interested in playing that audio. So so I have my audio coming out of headphones from an Alesis IO2, and I have my audio going in through just the microphone on the computer. This is a big pain in the neck, but I guess I'm just going to go ahead and roll with it until I can just get a better audio interface plugged in there.
Through it.
Yeah, I think it's a driver issue. I think it really wants to install these drivers which aren't playing nice on my computer.
That's your main. Is that your main audio interface? Is the Alesis?
That was the one that I was using for many years. It is now horrible. It has like a terrible hum on the audio side of it. But that's one I was using for a long time. I had a Focusrite, but the Focusrite broke. That's where we're stuck at. Yeah.
Where we're at. God damn. I'm having to upgrade mine, but that's because I'm just using fucking Firewire. So it's time to go to like Thunderbolt. Yeah. I've had this interface for a really long time. Old interface, but still works, still great. Just have to upgrade just because it's time. That's what it is.
So the world of comics has been chugging along as of late. They finally announced Diamond Distributors finally announced they're going to be reopening near the end of the month. They're going to be putting new product out in the stores, so people will finally get their the new comics they've been jonesing for a couple months now.
Nice.
Yeah, it seems like in a lot of ways we're starting to try to figure out how we can get life back to normal, and that's been lovely. That's been very, very nice.
What comics are you waiting on?
So the newest version, the newest edition of Batman is one. So Batman right now has a really interesting storyline written by a dude named James Tynion IV. He is he came out of, I want to say, like, he was doing a lot of stuff with Detective Comics, and he was doing a lot of like Batman related teen books. So a lot of his he's very good at writing like the ensemble cast of Batman, but this is the first time trying to like do like a real focus on Batman as a character, and he's killing it right now. He has a very, very interesting storyline as kind of digging up why the Joker ended up the way he ended up. Like, why, when he debuted, was he this like a wacky clown character who's gonna like steal some stuff from a bank and then shoot custard pies into cops' faces, and how he went from that to being like, I'm going to cut off my own face and make people wear it.
Isn't this the is this the one storyline I heard where he like marries Catwoman, or is that a different one-off?
That was the previous storyline. That was by a different guy named Tom King, who normally is a writer I like, but I did not like his Catwoman thing, his Catwoman Batman storyline. I like the idea of them marrying because I think like they've been playing around with the idea of Catwoman going good and being part of the team for a long time. So it's like, just pull the Band-Aid off, but then they sort of danced around doing it for a while, and it was just it got annoying. It got very annoying when they were trying to they were doing a lot of like Batman with PTSD kind of storyline stuff, which felt under like certain circumstances, I can see why like superheroes with PTSD is a good kind of kind of a good way to go with trying to mine some dramatic effect. But I didn't like the way they did it, and I didn't like the idea of like Batman, the guy who has a solution for everything. I don't know. It's
PTSD'd out, just like he's coming back from Nam.
Yeah, like the guy who fixed his own spine.
I know, right? Yeah, the guy that has like the constitutional fortitude of like every fucking thing. Just all of a sudden gets this PTSD. I suspect though, if he had PTSD, he would like have pretty decent control over it. So we probably wouldn't see it as much. So to write him like he's actively struggling with PTSD is a pretty weird way to see, Batman carry on.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things where it's sort of like you're writing to serve the writer and not writing to serve the storyline or the character, which I think is what, I don't know. It works in certain circumstances. It doesn't work in other certain circumstances. And I think in this one, it just felt very like heavy-handed as far as what they were trying to. Felt very heavy-handed. And it felt like they weren't accomplishing the point they were trying to make. Because I think that if you're trying to deal with incredibly, something as dark and incredibly important and something that touches the lives of so many people, like post-traumatic stress disorder, throwing murder clowns into it is maybe not the best way you want to approach that.
I know, right? So he has PTSD. Let's jack it the fuck up.
Yeah.
Murder clowns, custard pies,
Mr. Freeze running around, the Riddler. Yeah, just.
Oh wow! Yeah, there you go. Terrible fucking. I don't know. I'll have to read it. I remember seeing bits and pieces of it. Friends would post about it. I'm like, wait, what? He marries Catwoman? I'm like, I guess. I mean, it's not like we haven't like danced around that for the last 30 fucking years.
Yeah. They had they did an okay thing with it where it was more sort of like where it's Batman marrying Catwoman, but it's Bruce Wayne marrying Selina Kyle. And that's, in the storyline sense, that makes a lot more sense than Batman marrying Catwoman. You can sort of see because like Selena Kyle, having managed to avoid a lot of, in certain continuities, having managed to avoid arrests and things like that, has fairly noticeable careers at Gotham socialite. So it makes sense. With Mary Bruce Wayne.
It really does. So I'm excited to check. Like I said, I'll check it out. I'll do some reading on it. Okay. Catch up on stuff anyway. Any other comics you're looking out for that you're excited to get in?
Yeah, there's a few things. I'm excited for the next. Writer and artist I really like, called Sean Gordon Murphy, is going to have his sort of like self-produced Indiegogo funded campaign popping up at the end of the month, and it's going to be called. It's got a bad title. It's going to be called The Plot Holes, but it's there's a reason for it, where it's effectively, it looks like a kind of a weird team up book from characters from different genres of media. So they're going to have like a fantasy Tiger Man and like a manga giant robot guy, and then like a character from like Sunday morning strips, and he's drawing all these in the styles of those types of characters. And it's going to be he's along with being like a comic book writer and artist, he's also like a major like gearhead. Like he rebuilds his own engine, and like is really into muscle cars. So like every time he draws tech, it's really based in reality, and it's really like he's really obsessive with getting like engines right and getting like wires and pipes and shit right. So I'm really excited to see what he does with like giant like anime robots and big fantasy sword fights and things like that.
That's gonna be cool. Fuck yeah. I was gonna show you Courtney got me something cool. I think you dig this. I got a Peter Steele.
Oh, that's awesome.
for my vest. Yeah. So that's fucking great. I was like, fuck yeah. Huge Typo Negative fan. So
that's really cool.
Fucking I've been looking out for cool shit like that, really cool pins, patches, all that fun stuff. Well, suppose we can get into like one of the greatest fucking horror writers ever.
So today we're going to be covering Hellraiser. Not the Hellraiser the movie or Hellraiser the Hellbound Heart, the book, but we're going to be talking about the Boom series from 2010. I think before I said it was 2006. It's actually 2010 when I looked it up.
Oh, shit.
So this sort of followed on. So Hellraiser is an interesting life in comic books, where there was in the late 80s, early 90s, a whole bunch of comic books that came out, weirdly enough, from Marvel. So back in the late 80s, early 90s, when everything got real dark, Marvel got like this bug up their butt to create all these sublines of very like dark, horror-influenced comics. So one of the things that they put out was a comic book line called Razor Line, which was it was sort of curated by Clive Barker, but it was characters that he created, and it was sort of and then it was handed off to a lot of different writers. Interestingly enough, that's I think the first published work of the Wachowskis was actually in a Razor Line character. And they would famously go on to make like The Matrix and the Cloud Atlas movie and the Speed Racer movie, which I think is actually underrated if you've never seen it. The Speed Racer movie,
one? I haven't at all.
Yeah, so the Wachowskis, after The Matrix, they made a Speed Racer movie, and it was really good. It was visually very stunning. It was very it's one of those things that like it died a death at the box office, but. It's one of those things. It's sort of like it's like the Scott Pilgrim movie. It was like it's better than audiences let it be.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim is. I never got too much into the. I think I read a couple of the graphic novels for it, but the movie was all right. It's definitely better than what most people said it was. Yeah. And it's occasion. It's fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun to go through. I just don't like Michael Cera as much, but he's perfect for that role. So it's like my favorite role. My favorite role Michael Cera was ever in is when he played himself, and This Is the End. That was the best one. So
Yeah.
great shit.
Yeah. So this sort of follows on a little bit from mostly from the movies. There's some elements of the early '90s comic book series that I'll bring up when we're talking about it. But it effectively goes into Kirsty Cotton, who's the main character of the first two Hellraiser movies, and she does like a cameo appearance in one of the later ones. But it's effectively her having put together a team of other people who have had horrible experiences with the Cenobites and the puzzle boxes, trying to destroy all of them, and kind of learning how bad of an idea that actually is.
It's typically it is, but it's really weird. Like I always like I always say I love Clive Barker. I like his work. I mean that, but I always get surprised by how much I like his work when I'm like reading it, watching it. You know, the Hellraisers have always been like all that those like 80s horror movie era. Like it was like Nightmare on Elm Street and like Hellraisers, and in more sense, I think I like Hellraiser a little bit more than Nightmare on Elm Street. Not that I don't love Wes Craven and Robert Englund, but like Hellraiser, especially the first three. Like after that, it gets pretty fucking weird. There's like a couple of them that are like okay, that kind of more or less it's that universe of Hellraiser, like with the detective and stuff, and then the one haunted mansion scenario thing. And then I think I tried watching the one without Doug Bradley, and then I just couldn't do it because without Doug Bradley, there's no reason for it. Like fuck it, like they could make it a CGI fucking Pinhead for like as long as Doug Bradley's voice, and I don't care. He can be on his deathbed. Like I just need you to say this line, all right? Before you die, we got to get the last like 30th Hellraiser movie. We've rebooted it a million times now, and we need you. And honestly, even if they just like 50 years later, they just take clips of his lines from the movies and make a new character, it would still be good because like he's like one of those characters you can't replace him. You can't replace Doug Bradley at all. Like they tried it was terrible. Just like
they've tried it twice now. There's been two different. So there was Hellraiser Revelations that came out some years back, and then a couple. I think it was last year.
There was a newer one, yeah.
Hellraiser Judgment. So they had two different guys playing.
I think I watched Judgment. I don't remember Judgment. I don't remember much of it. I gotta look it up now because I know I watched it, and if I don't remember much of it, I probably thought it was okay. Yeah. It was better than Revelation or whatever it was because that one looked terrible. Wasn't Judgment? What was fucking that one about again?
Judgment was kind of a cops investigating the boxes. Like half the because like after 4 they all went direct to DVD, and half the ones that were after that were about like cops investigating the boxes.
I remember this. I'd have to watch it again. I know I probably didn't hate it because I know I hated fucking the one before this. I thought it was really bad. But I think this one I thought was pretty okay. But I gotta watch it again, so don't quote me on that. Being like Bond said, Hellraiser Judgment was the best thing since Hellraiser 3. So, but the one thing with like Clive Barker, especially when it comes to like the world of the Cenobites and all that stuff, there's a very, I don't know how to describe it, but it's really fucking interesting. Like when you hear the way like Pinhead is the priest, you know.
Yeah.
When he just any line he has is just pure fucking gold. That man could like read Lil Wayne lyrics and it would come out just like holy fuck. But it's just I don't know. It's the way they write the world. It's kind of an interesting thing because to me, especially reading the first volume 1.
Yeah.
There's a very blurred line and there's a very clear line of what's like right and wrong and what they consider to be right and wrong and their morality. And it's really interesting that fine line that Pinhead actually walks between right and wrong and what they presume is good and evil. And so it's really weird hearing him reference himself. Like I'm not, like he obviously is very tired. He, is pretty shitty attitude, but he just, basically like, I'm an angel to some and a devil to others, basically. So,
yeah, and that's that line. Interestingly, if that kind of kicks off the whole storyline, where is asking, like, are you the devil? It's like the female Cenobite is like, well, we're angels to some and demons to, and Pinhead just interrupts her and is like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of
Yeah.
I'm sick of this line. I'm sick of this whole process we go through with these, and it kind of it's an interesting thing because it doesn't quite it doesn't explain what's going on, but I think you can kind of pick up on it. Is Pinhead is getting utterly sick of the whole process of being called by these boxes, being the Lord of Hell. Just he's not interested in this anymore.
So is he actually? Because is he actually the Lord of Hell? Aren't they just basically just like servants? And there's like a higher. Basically, they're not. They're like he's pretty revered in his position, but I don't know. From what I could tell from this, I didn't really ever see him as like a Lord of Hell, more or less. Like he's higher up, but he's still a lackey, and that's kind of what he keeps referencing throughout. Like they're basically just like lackeys to this higher thing, and at least that's kind of what I got out of it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's basically a situation where they have a he. So there seems to be, for different boxes, there are different types of Cenobites. When we see that with there's the more insectoid type ones, and there's the more there's the cold Cenobite that looks different from the others, and I think a lot of those are based off of Clive Barker drawings and art. Anyway, so the whole thing with the Cenobites in this, it kind of So underneath Leviathan, Pinhead is effectively the boss, or at least the boss of the Cenobites.
Yeah.
And throughout this story, it's kind of getting into the idea that Pinhead is kind of sick of what he's doing. He wants the opportunity to leave hell and strive to be able to go to heaven. And the voice of hell, which kind of manifests itself as a weird organ.
I love that scene. That scene was amazing. His little, with the organ and the bodies, the whole dialogue and just the artwork of that just is. Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, "This is fucking great! Holy shit!"
Yeah.
And basically, like I said, kind of that whole scene is him trying to pretty much bargain that he wants to pretty much be human again, to see if he makes the choices you're supposed to make, because whether they go to heaven or not, because still the whole thing behind like this whole universe of Hellraiser is still the whole good and evil, even though they're very what is really good and what is really evil. They seem to have really loose based definitions of that. I mean, they're pretty sound in there, but it's really weird.
Yeah.
But it's just him talking to one of the organs, somebody who, and it was in his position, tried to do it. And they're like, they failed, and they hope he fucking fails too, basically. And so, it's like apparently a trial of man to just not be a piece of shit in certain ways.
Yeah, so he basically is asked, if he wants to do this, he has to find a replacement for himself. And we don't get into who that is in this volume, but it is it's an interesting story. It definitely opens up a lot of questions about the nature of hell, the nature of who's going to be the leader of hell, what the qualifications are in order to be that. From there, we get more into the backstories of the various harrowers and Kirsty and sort of her relationship with them, and she mentions Tiffany a little bit from the second one. The girl who was catatonic and could speak, and she alludes to her a little bit. But a lot of this book is kind of him going into, or kind of Clive Barker and his co-writer kind of going into the backstories of these characters, and then immediately killing them off.
Exactly. Yeah, this book is really brutal, and I love it because that's what it is. And so the artwork on it, the brutality of it, because even though you said this was one like 2010, it still has that very 90s feel to it, that 80s 90s feel. And that's like, I had to look at the date. I'm like, when did he do this? Because this looks like it could have came out like around that time, and I like how they kept true to that theme.
I think the artwork is a little more modern in the type of detail rendered, because like a lot of the it's less stylized than 80s and 90s artwork would have been. Like it's a lot more sort of they're trying to do photorealistic depictions of the characters, which is I really like. But
it's when you get up close to them, you see that and stuff too. But
you'll see like the planes of the face and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And how whoever the artist on this, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but he is very very. He's very, very good. I think he must have just had folders on his computer full of just like reference images of Douglas Bradley and like the Pinhead makeup and.
He looks dead on like Doug Bradley's Pinhead.
Yeah.
But I love this. It still reminds me. It's so John Carpenter-ish too. The organ, because I'm looking at that artwork now. The face is all melted together and shit. Just man, him and Clive Barker need to do shit.
And so it kind of brings up something in this which I thought was really interesting. I didn't get the first couple of times that I read this. Is that there appears to be like a Clive Barker universe, because in this they talked a little bit about so in addition to all the hell mythology in this, there is talks about the quote unquote the Dream Sea, and the Dream Sea of Quiddity is a plot point from the Great and Secret Show and Everville, which are two other Clive Barker books, and they're about a thing called the art, which is effectively just the art of magic.
Ooh.
There's that in a later volume, and this won't like spoil too much, but there's some Lord of Illusions characters that show up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I liked Lord of Illusions.
Yeah, so there's some Lord of Illusions characters that show up in later volumes, and that kind of brings it in kind of into like an interesting thing where like this is kind of a storyline that could really only exist in a comic book, because the film rights for all of these things, I'm sure, are tied up with all these different studios. But if the comic book rights are not also tied up, then sure, throw Nix in something, add the Nightbreed in, which I think they had in the
they do have
the 80s Hellraiser books had the Nightbreed in.
They do have it on Comixology for free, so we're going into Nightbreed soon. I love Nightbreed.
Yeah. I love the book. I love the movies. David Cronenberg as Decker was like an iconic horror.
Yeah. It's amazing. He's like it's always interesting to see like directors and other directors' movies. And most of the time they're pretty terrible, like Eli Roth and Inglourious Basterds was one of the worst cameos ever. And if he would have just shut the fuck up, perfect. But Eli Roth is not a good film director or a writer. And of course, like I don't know if you watched the interviews with that, but leading up to Inglourious Basterds and like a little bit after, they're doing a bunch of interviews for the movie. And Eli Roth was on Tarantino's dick so hard. Like it's like mildly embarrassing for the guy. I'm just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like
they're bros, right? I like Tarantino rubber stamped his career.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Tarantino and that, like I don't think he would have gotten further. And it's not like he really has either. Like the Hostel movies were okay. It had like some okay cameos in it that were kind of cool. But then it's just how cool can torture porn be for like you make a series out of it. It gets pretty old. But but like his Cronenberg's cameo was just great. He was just Cronenberg as a serial killer, and it was great. It was awesome. Even his mask looked like a butthole, so Cronenberg was happy.
Yeah, so and it definitely beat the Cronenberg cameo from Jason X, if you remember that.
Oh, that atrocity of a movie. That's still fun to watch. Because why shouldn't we put Jason in space? Have we learned nothing in this shitty town? No. That's, it's it definitely is a lot better than that cameo for sure. Oh god, I was actually just looking at that movie the other day going, when am I going to watch this again? Probably another 10 years.
Yeah. We recently, so we've gotten into the thing with our current situation of we're watching a lot of movie series
Nice.
over and over. So like right now, we just finished the Urban Legends series. We're just starting the Scream series, but a while back we had watched all of the Friday the 13th movies,
and they're pretty. I like Friday the 13th, but to me, Friday the 13th was like the worst of any of the horror movies because it truly doesn't get good until like Kane Hodder takes over.
Yeah.
Like, and that's my personal opinion. I gotta rewatch him again because I usually try to go through like kind of what you're doing. I try to do that at least every like 5-6 years, so things are kind of fresh. And it just Friday the 13th was one of the series that I just like. There's bits and pieces of it I really like a lot, and I found myself enjoying it. The more they get better people to play Jason, and then once you get that, you got like really cool deaths, and the movies got kind of okay. But Friday the 13th was just, it was the weakest one I thought of all of them. Even like the third Halloween, I think was better than most of those movies. And the third Halloween was pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, I was into I was definitely into God, what was it the Silver Shamrock storyline. Well, it's interesting to bring up Halloween because I'll bring this up now. So, did you see the most recent Halloween movie directed by David Gordon Green?
Yeah, the 2018 one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was great. Like, I loved his cinematography of it. I love the long fucking shots. The soundtrack was gold. The movie was good. It didn't make. They brought back. Why am I fucking spacing off on her name? Jamie Lee Curtis's character.
Yeah.
They brought her character back, and I didn't feel like her character coming back was like cheesy anyway or any sort of fan service. I just felt like, okay, well, this is the sequel we should have gotten was something
with
like
H2O.
But then we got H2O, which was a terrible shit fest of a movie. But like it was, I love that the fact that they just basically were like, we're starting this right after the very first Halloween he did. Fuck everything else that came after it, which was great. I did not like the Rob Zombie ones, so. I really liked the new one. I thought it was great. It was, to me, it was artistic. It was shot almost exactly they would have shot it like in the 70s and the 80s. Like exactly how it definitely feels like it could have came right after that and it would have felt natural. I mean, besides like some like the newer stuff they do in it and stuff, but it feels like a great sequel.
Yeah. So David Gordon Green has actually just been announced to direct a Hellraiser television show.
Yes, that's right. Fuck, I'm excited for that. Where are they going for the show? Where are they doing?
HBO.
Fuck yeah, that's gonna be good then.
It's probably gonna be the closest thing to like what you would want for like a Hellraiser show to be. Yeah, sorry.
Clive's writing it, isn't he?
No. So from what I understand, he's not. So he's been attached to multiple things over the years, but he has not. He's not. And honestly, so I read the most recent Hellraiser novel that he wrote, called The Scarlet Gospels.
Oh yeah, how was that?
And I'm kind of glad he's not writing. And that's not
a creative producer on it or something.
Yeah.
I mean, give him something to do with the show.
It's not because I think that his writing is bad. In fact, I think that probably his writing is better now than it's ever been. He has gotten real into. So the thing that I always really liked about Hellraiser is it feels to me like they use this terminology like demons, angels, heaven, hell, but it feels like a mythology largely separate from like Judeo-Christian stuff. It is like it's not. You're not really. We're referred to as hell because that's the closest word the humans have to understanding what we are. Yeah. Whereas I think Clive Barker's gotten real into Judeo-Christian mythology as like a source of. So he writes a lot of stuff like specifically like demon. There was what was it called? Mr. Be Gone or something Recently, there was he wrote a book written from the perspective of a demon, and I think he's gone like way into like Judeo-Christian mythology, and I think it makes for some really cool standalone stuff, but that's never the vibe that I ever got from Hellraiser. I always got like Hellraiser is supposed to be a thing you don't really understand, and you throw these words on the Cenobites to get them to like fit into your understanding of what things are. but they're not that.
And it's cool though because the story itself acknowledges that basically because really any Pinhead's interaction with anybody that isn't the main character is basically like you fucking have no idea what you're talking about. Who we are, such a grand scheme that you can't even possibly begin to experience it. Now die.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Have some chains. Who are you? Have some chains.
Well, like one of the Cenobites in the comic book is killed by is killed in a church, but it's not by something from the church. It's by like a thing falling on top of them.
Yes, it was a cross with Jesus on it.
Yeah.
But it also weighs a fuck ton of pounds. And to be fair, anyone caught underneath it, whether you were a demon or a person or anything, is probably going to die by it.
Yeah, it's an impact wound. It's not a...
it's not a...
Yeah.
Jesus couldn't have saved that, all right? No amount of belief would have helped. But the whole Hellraiser series has this very dark, almost like, I don't think romantic is the right term for it, but a very seductive, like, just a super dark storyline, especially with the universe they describe with it. You're like, and you see the characters, the whole point of that whole pain hell thing. They all get seduced by, the chains, and I don't know why those things look like they fucking suck. Like, Jesus Christ. But,
there was a, what was it? There was the one guy whose kid brother was stolen by the Cenobites.
Yeah.
And he ended up having to turn into, basically become like the bum from the original Hellraiser movie, just because like he wanted to, his brother is not going to be destroyed or dismembered if he obeys himself. And the one time that he falters, he like hears his brother being torn apart in hell.
That was a really interesting storyline too. The fact that he had the whole time he's like keeps coming back to his brother years later, like, "Hey, I'm doing this because he's like, dude, just let me fucking die." You're like, you're hurting people because you're basically passing on the boxes to people and having them make the choices and be judged by this fucking box that, surprise, surprise, kills pretty much anyone that opens it. So, that's It's a cool storyline though.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like they get into sort of the mythology of the Harrowers. There appears to have been like generations of the Harrowers because they have what they refer to as ancient Harrower weapons, which are apparently just used to destroy the different puzzle boxes. So there's like a lot of lore you're getting at the same time, and fairly new lore at that for anybody who hasn't read. Like I think the Harrowers were a thing in Marvel comics, but you kind of don't need to read any of that to know, okay, there's a team of people, they don't like the puzzle boxes, they're destroying the puzzle boxes. It kind of does a good job of balancing the lore with telling a story, I thought.
It does. Let's see. But yeah, the scene of his brother just being like torn the fuck apart and burnt. Yeah. God damn. Like the imagery in this it's brutal. It's great. It just reminds me of the movie. It was funny. A couple of years back when I was working at the hostel, they were doing Halloween movie nights picked by a person who probably shouldn't pick Halloween movies because she's never watched a really horror movie her entire life. So like the movies she would pick, besides like Hocus Pocus, were pretty bad. And so
I will hear nothing bad about Hocus Pocus.
No, I was like the only one, and then she just played it a bunch of times because she couldn't come up with other ones. But she ordered a movie. I can't remember what it was, but like, okay, she was still ordering from a DVD service. I don't know where, but it was broke. Like it was cracked. I'm like, oh, this won't work. So I'm like, put on Netflix on the TV. What do you guys want to watch? All these international people and all over the world. This room's full of room, and I got to put on a movie for these guys. What do you guys want to watch? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, fuck it, you're watching Hellraiser. Turned it on, and I was gonna come in and check on them occasionally. Hey, you guys like the movie? People are just like, what the fuck is this? Like, none of you have seen Hellraiser? Like, you're gonna love it. Oh, it was great. That was really a good Halloween movie. I said the first three are like the best.
Yeah, I think honestly that's
the other ones are okay. You can watch them until like Revelations and.
Yeah, I liked All right, so I think I would say like Hellraiser, the original, my favorite. Hellraiser 2, probably second favorite. I think my third favorite was actually Hellraiser Inferno, which was one of the
The
first
detective,
direct.
right?
Yeah, so that was the detective, and
Dean
and that's
Winters. Yeah.
oh no, that was Hellseeker. That was the one
Hellseeker
after
was the one
that.
with Dean Winter. Yeah, I like the one with Dean Winter. But no, it had the what's his face? I gotta look it up
Inferno
now.
had the guy who was
No, like
in
that dude was
Nightbreed.
black. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah, so I like that. Hellseeker.
And that's the one where he's like investigating. I think I remember nuns and shit or something. I know he's kind of investigating shit. If I remember right from that one.
Yeah, it's basically he was doing a whole thing about investigating the box. The box was involved in the box was involved in a lot of murders in his city, and then he opens the box, and then the rest of the movie, as it plays out, is him being tormented by various Cenobites. That's the one where they had the Chatterer with no legs and the twin Cenobites, the Wire Twins.
That one had like a really good ending where basically he had been dead like since he opened the box, and they just were like pretty much torturing him the entire time.
Yeah, and that's I did enjoy that. I thought it was. I don't know. It was an interesting return to form for the series, which had become like more and more about Pinhead. Where I think that the series had started off being like he'd show up every now and again. Like I always thought it was interesting when he was more in the shadows rather than when he was in right up front. And then they did after that was Hellseeker. That had Dean Winters. That was where Kirsty Cotton came back.
Yeah,
he's
great.
He's really good. I'm really sad that after he was in Oz, they never really gave him any more like long-term television projects because I always thought he was a really good.
They did
actor.
In Rescue Me. He was his brother for a long part of that.
Okay.
He was in that. He's had some off roles, but no, he was great. Like he needs to be in more shit. Like I've always liked his acting a lot. He was in 30 Rock on some off season, which is great. Yeah,
that was honestly that was a great role for him. I thought he always played that. He's in those. God, is it Allstate commercials now? He's in something like that, and he's. I guess he's now doing them with Tina Fey now. Their chemistry was always really good. I understand he had some like health issues at some point in the early 2000s, so that kind of cut back on his ability to take long-term jobs and things like that. So that kind of sucks.
Oh, that's right. Hellseeker did end all fucked up, where Christy's not a good person.
Yeah. And God, the actress who plays her was like she said that like she showed up to the set, was handed a script completely different from the one that she had read when she agreed to the part, and she didn't like what they did with the character, but she'd already like signed up for everything, so she wasn't going to be able to back out of it. So that sucks. And then after that was Deader, which is
is that the one with the house?
No, that was Hellworld. Hellworld was after that. Deader was the one that they filmed in Bucharest, Romania. So it looks really spooky and cool, but it's not a great movie. And then Hellworld was
cult, right? There's like a Pinhead cult or whatever.
Yeah, and you find out that it's led by a descendant of the merchant family, Les Marchands, who made the box, but in the context of it makes no sense. Like, why? Why would he be doing this?
Yeah, no. From all I remember of, the toy maker, he wants nothing to do with this shit at all.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the whole toy maker storyline, as far as the movies go, was really wrapped up in part 4. Like, we don't need more generations of the toy maker.
Nope, we're pretty good on the toy maker thing. We know what's going on. We saw the future and all that stuff. We went through. We did our own Jason X for like a scene. It was all right.
Although a thing that I did like about Hellraiser 4, and I don't know if you picked up on this, is that one of the characters on the space station's last name is Rimmer.
Oh my god! Oh shit! I haven't watched Hellraiser 4 in a long time, but that one wasn't the best.
Yeah,
it was all right, but it wasn't the best. Like it was. Now that I remember, because that's one they like basically at in space, and they're going all flashbacks of all his whole family line and shit, which same actor in different wigs. So
yeah, and then his final form of just having a buzzed head was.
It's like, wow, your gene pool is weird.
Yeah. It had Adam Scott from Parks and Recreation in a couple of the timelines. I
remember that where he's so fucking young in this. God damn.
Yeah, after Deader was Hellworld, which was the one, the house with the video game that Lance Henriksen was in it, I think.
Yeah, Lance Henriksen. Yeah. I remember it not being that bad because Lance Henriksen's in it. And if Lance Henriksen is in it, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
I'm a big Lance Henriksen fan.
Yeah, so they and then after that was Revelations, which was mostly found footage and terrible.
Oh, that's right. That was such a shitty movie.
They literally had to pump that out in a weekend to keep the rights. So they filmed it in the weekend.
Right. Yeah, they just would be like, you got your phone camera. We got some CGI of like Pinhead, Doug Bradley. Do you want to do this? Go fuck yourself. Okay.
Yeah, we'll find literally any other bald guy and put him in some makeup, and he did not have the face for makeup.
No, he did not. It was fucking terrible. Like I will probably never watch that movie again. There's certain sequels, certain remakes that I've seen maybe once where I'll never see. That's one of the ones I'll never see. I'll never watch the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot ever again because once was enough to be ultimately disappointed in everything that I love. And I've seen, I was in a group, or I still am, but there's some guys talking about horror movies, and somebody brought up the fact that it was on Netflix, and oh, it's such a great movie. I think it was one of the best in the series. I'm just like, just spazzing out for a moment. I just go to town. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, you goddamn troglodyte? It's the best. And you know how many people died in that movie? I'm pretty sure 2.5 people died in that movie. And the best death happened in the first 6 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
And I told him, besides the fact that I don't like the fact that they try to go more psychological with it, and they really went all out in him being a pedophile, which I know in the earlier movies, in the original script, Wes kind of wanted him that way, but he's always been a child murderer. Like, to me, I've never seen him as a dude that diddles the kids. He kills the kids. Because fuck them. They're assholes, I guess. I don't know. They walked on his lawn too many times. I don't give a fuck. He's killing them. And the fact they did that, and people were like trying to defend that. They're trying to defend Jackie Earle Haley's acting. And I'm like, I really like Jackie Earle Haley. I think he's a great actor. Yeah. He is not a fucking Freddy Krueger. Not at all.
No.
It's not at all. The worst choice would have been to give it to Stuart Townsend, and that would have been
So in the Nightmare reboot, I will admit I liked the makeup. I thought that was an interesting way of redesigning the character. I just don't see why they would want to redesign the character.
And the fact that the best part of it is Michael Bay did it.
Yeah, Platinum Dunes. He produced it.
Yeah,
right.
He did that, and then the Friday the 13th movie, which I don't remember a lot of. I remember bits and pieces, but somebody was trying to convince me that was a really, really good movie. I gotta watch it. I don't remember, but I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and wow, that. But like the people were like supposedly like horror fans, which is fine. You don't have to gatekeep a genre or anything, but if your opinion is that you think that is the best movie in the installments, I don't think you're a horror fan.
Yeah,
I don't think you are at all. Maybe you've just never seen the other movies. I mean, I get it. The first Nightmare on Elm Street was goofy as shit. Freddy Krueger with his weird long spider arms for no reason, because I cameras weren't great, but it was good. And then Robert Englund just really sunk into the role, and the rest were probably better because I can watch all the Nightmare on Elm Streets in a sitting and be like, that was cool. I can't do that with a lot of other movies, but I mean, Alice Cooper was in it. I'm pretty sure Kathy Bates was in it, wasn't she? At one point,
I don't know if Kathy Bates was in it. I know Roseanne was in one of them. Roseanne and Tom Arnold.
Others are in it. Like, fucking, what more do you fucking need? There's a shot of him on a beach with sunglasses and a skateboard. Like, what do you guys need more from? It's Robert Englund. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I hear he's down to do like one more.
He's talked about it, and he's like, you probably have to do a lot of it via CGI. He's like, I'm fine wearing the makeup, I'm fine acting. It's just like all the action stuff that I had to do in the later movies. I can't do any of that anymore. I'm 75.
Yeah. It's like, don't worry about it, man. You're just gonna take a little bit of this cocaine, and you'll get right back to work. And it's just like fucking just spazzes out as Freddy, which would be cool. I mean, I would be really interested to see if Wes bring him back and just do like a reboot, and like a good reboot. Like, take 3 years to write it. Don't let Michael Bay anywhere near it. Like, just don't. Even if he throws you a pile of cash to revive your career, just don't do it.
Yeah,
just don't do it. Get somebody else to do it.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things that, like, if it happens, Blumhouse is almost definitely going to do it, and that they're so hit and miss.
They are. There's some shit that's so great, and some shit that I feel like a lot of those movies usually it's pretty shit, but usually their endings are kind of like really good. Yeah. And you're like, okay, this whole movie was trash except for this last 10 minutes, which was where the fuck did that happen? I think I remember like The Last Exorcism. I watched that. I think Blumhouse did that one.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so, but that was like a found footage like priest. I don't know if you watched it, but I remember watching it and being like, this is okay. And then I remember the last like 10 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is amazing. This is how this movie should have been. But I'm like, okay, I get the lead up to it now. I get that. That's great.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like a lot of the movies are kind of like that. And then there's some of them that are just atrocious all the way around. And you wondered why you wasted that hour and 45 minutes, watching this shit house of a movie.
Yeah, that's unfortunately the way that those movies tend to go. It's just there's certain ones that they put a lot of work into. Like, I still haven't seen it, but I've heard that new Invisible Man movie is amazing. Like, I've heard it's for being like kind of a lower budget horror movie is pretty fantastic.
It's hard to find good horror anymore, though. I mean, just the way our world is, we're already all so desensitized to so much. Yeah. So it's like, but even so, I mean, you don't need to like do a torture porn gore fest for me to think you're a good horror movie. Yeah. Just have really good writing and really good fucking music, and some solid ass acting. Like, I'm all about that campy shit, but I hate that. I hate like going on like Netflix, or we just got Shudder too. And it's like Shudder, I could probably just hit random and find something. It might not be great, but I'll watch it. But like other sites, it's so hard to find anything that I've already seen that I'm like, oh, this is good. I just feel like the horror genre has become, it's kind of really, really more miss and hit. Very, very, very few hits. And when they're fucking great. They're awesome. Yeah. You're just like waiting till the next good one comes out. And I wish we had more good movies like that coming out.
Shudder's great because they have a fairly great selection of stuff not from the US. And I think that one of the things that we get really desensitized to in the US is that I think that in general the way that we tell stories gets pretty formulaic, especially scary stories. And I feel like a lot of like European, Asian, and now they've got a bunch of like Middle Eastern horror movies. Because of like the tradition of storytelling in those cultures, it's very different. So there's some great shit on Shudder. There's a really good. I'm trying to remember the name of where it's from. Actually, I remember the name of it. So there is a really good movie based out of. It's an Indonesian movie. I think it's on Shudder. It's called Satan's Slave, or Satan's Slaves, and it is basically it's inspired heavily by Japanese horror. Ooh. But it is based like solidly in Indonesia, and it's really interesting because it is instead of it being heavily based on like Christian iconography, it's heavily based on Islamic iconography,
Oh,
and just there being that kind of like just that difference in the portrayals of the way that the way the exorcisms work and things like that is really cool.
I guess it's
There
a
was
remake they did. It's a remake of an old horror
It's a
film.
remake of like a 1980s movie, also from Indonesia. But it's yeah, I don't think you need to watch the original
Yeah.
to get it.
Yeah.
And then there's a really good one on Shutter as well called Knife Plus Heart,
Oh yeah.
which is a French movie, but it is a basically a Lucio Fulci style giallo slasher movie based on a gay porn set. So like a slasher is attacking gay porn actors, and it's fascinating. It's got Vanessa Paradis, who is Johnny Depp's wife for a few years,
Oh
and
nice.
just it's a phenomenal movie.
I'll have to check it
MAD3
out.
does the soundtrack.
Oh shit. Nice. I'll definitely check that out.
Awesome.
Trying to think of what I've watched recently that was pretty good horror. Watched that one on Netflix. I think it was. I guess it's kind of horror. That was it, The Pit or whatever it is.
The Pit.
Where that's like
So,
that. Let me see it. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like I think it's a Brazilian.
oh, the platform.
The platform, yeah, the
The
platform.
platform. Yeah, yeah.
That was fucking good. I liked that a lot. A lot
I
of
really
good,
like that as well.
lot of good commentary on just the world, especially our country and shit like that. But that was a really good fucking movie.
It reminded me a lot of Cube.
Yeah, I loved
Like it's
cubes. Like cubes are great. Even like the later one, where like the last one was kind of like, it was still good. Like I still get a wild hair, and I gotta go rewatch all the Cube movies. This is great. I mean, what other premise do you fucking need other than have a bunch of strangers locked in this cube-like prison, and each room may or may not kill them? I don't give a
yeah,
fuck about their storylines at all. I just want to see them go through this maze.
yeah.
Like,
There was a movie like that I just watched this recently called Escape Room.
oh
Did you see
yeah,
that one?
I didn't see that
Yeah.
one.
So it's effectively a much higher budget Cube, but it's that was really good. I thought. I know
Oh,
they're
I've been
making a
meaning to watch
sequel.
this one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
to
But
watch that.
yeah, it's really good. It has it's a pretty solid cast, and yeah, some of the deaths are really creative.
I think as we've tried our hands as musicians, we're trying to be comic book writers and artists. I think the next step is we're going to be filmmakers. Make a movie. I had a really cool idea for a movie just now. Did you ever? I really got into. You remember Funny Games?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, both versions phenomenal. The American version is pretty much exactly like the old German version. I love that movie for the simple fact that the absence of like music, it just makes that movie a million times better. It just traps you in these scenes. There's no relief from them. You're forced to stare, like when the kid first got shot. That long fucking scene of them just in the living room, the killers leave and stuff, and it's just such. I love it. It's great. Those little like tips and tricks they do with like filmmaking and writing a story is stuff like that is awesome. It helps just put you in that element that just like you're in that same situation. What would be cool is, and it might be cool to me, and maybe after I drink not so much tequila and probably later on, I'm like, oh, this is probably a terrible idea. But do a cube-like movie, and there is like no sound, no dialogue except when someone dies. Like legit. Like I don't know. You can make whatever reason you have. It doesn't matter. It's just dead quiet. Maybe just like the sounds of them moving around or something.
Yeah.
But like no audible, no dialogue until someone dies, and only when they die. And it could be like a short film. It could be cool, but like a standard running film. That could be really cool because I feel like it's going to be a super stressful movie because the entire time you're not hearing anything except these people, probably moving, walking and stuff. And then they die just loud screaming and all sorts of death sounds and just so unnerving. And that could be a cool idea for a film. So we should patent that before Michael Bay steals it. He'd be great for this movie? Stuart Townsend, because he doesn't have to fucking talk.
well, that'll be what he does. It'll just be like, well,
dies.
instead of a death scene, could it be there's no sound until an explosion?
Yes, an explosion, Stuart. Yeah. Like at that point, I would be more than happy to be like, dear Stuart Townsend, I have the perfect role for you. Would you please be in my movie? Because I know you probably haven't done shit since. You know what I'm talking about. You know both of the things of which I'm talking about. I believe this will save your career. Love, not a fan. And then just like one of the first deaths, like right off the bat, Stuart Townsend comes in. The most horrifying death ever. And then the rest of the story is just actors and shit we don't like. So
yeah,
Pierce Brosnan's in there somewhere.
I like Pierce Brosnan. Oh, I will ride for Pierce Brosnan.
Okay, no Pierce Brosnan. I guess.
Yeah, he does. Okay, I did not like his James Bond. He plays like the roles he gets right now are just like sleazy old like gentlemen, and he is really good at sleazy old gentlemen.
I can see that. I mean,
yeah.
he is definitely a sleazy old gentleman. My cousins, because when they shot Dante's Peak, it was down in Wallace, Idaho. And my cousins were extras in that movie. And
nice.
They told me he's a huge asshole. I guess they met him. And I'm like, well, you were probably a pretty big shithead as a kid. So, you know.
Yeah.
He's in Idaho. I would be an asshole too, all right? In fact, I'd be like, why the fuck are we shooting a disaster movie in Idaho? Is this really going to happen? Is this wishful thinking? No? Fuck. I have to go to the shittiest parts of Idaho now. Shit. And then you're like fucking an hour to Spokane, and that's even worse. So,
yeah.
But anyway, back to Hellraiser.
Yeah. So, as far as like a continuation of the Hellraiser story, how are you liking this compared to the later movies?
I love it. I really do. I'm really excited to go through and read the rest of it. Nice. They have the whole omnibus on here too. So
that's what I ended up buying actually a while back. So I just read through the first 4 or 5 issues again just to refresh myself on what's on volume 1.
I'm excited. Like it's like I said in the beginning. Like I always say, I really, really like Clive Barker. I love his work, but it always surprises me like how much I love it. You know, as I go back to read or watch it or whatever, it's just like, wow, this is amazing fucking work here. So I'm excited to get through this. I'm excited to go through some of the other issues, check them out, see where it goes from here. I like their take on Pinhead so far. I like how these first few issues just kind of set the stage basically for like the story for the most part. And I feel like after it's pretty much going to start getting pretty crazy here the next few issues, I think so.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we let's do maybe not next week, but let's do volume 2 at some point in the near future.
We definitely should. I'm definitely gonna read more of this. It's like going through these scenes, and these scenes are just so beautiful. It would show people, but you know, we will probably we didn't get shut down last time.
Yeah, so I think it's more Marvel and DC who go a little crazy with trying to screw you up,
trying to jam us up.
It's
bullshit.
Come in, start killing your streams and demonetizing them, and
backed by Trent Reznor and sometimes Stuart Townsend.
Just a shadowy group called the Townsend Institute. I don't know anything about them.
Eventually, we're going to talk about this so much. We're going to make a short story about it, and then we're going to get sued by Stuart Townsend. What the fuck is this?
I just want him to show up in our I just want him to show up actually in our Twitch comments or something.
Just show up in the podcast like fuck you guys and just leave the studio like I got Stuart Townsend to tell me to go fuck myself. So you know what? We've done our job. Our 15 minutes is over. This was all for you, Stuart.
So then, like the Omen thing. It's
Yeah,
all for you,
Omen,
Damien.
get all Omen
All
outside
for
of his
you,
house
Stuart.
and see what happens. So we're gonna be the first people to probably get a restraining order from Stuart Townsend. So sorry, guys. It's gonna be great. He's gonna. Oh my god! Can you imagine if he was in that movie I want to make? I think it'd be his best role ever. Like, starts out, shot, opens up, you see Stuart Townsend and all of his Stuart Townsendness. Fuck, we'll give him the Lestat wig and let him go shirtless if he wants, whatever. And then pans out, he takes a step, and then just because I've just read Hellraiser, so a bunch of meat hooks come and rip him apart. It could be blown up. It could be that acid falls and you see this little dot of acid start slowly spreading. And actually, an hour and 15 minutes of my movie is really just that scene. And then they
just replay it over and over again, slower and slower.
No, it's just that scene because it starts a little dot of acid. And he's just like frozen in fear and just slowly gets bigger and bigger. And his flesh is being eaten and like rotting away and dripping. And it's just very high detail. Like we rented like 8K cameras to fucking do this. We've invented a new technology to allow us to do this just for this scene. And this is the most brutalest death ever. Like the USA wants to ban us. They also want to write off our pigtails of this new technology we created just to watch a man suffer on TV for an hour and 15 minutes. And then fucking pans out, his death's done. And they just realize, oh, there's the exit. And the movie ends.
Well, and hopefully this is not the last Welcome to Frankenstein house.
Stuart Townsend's pissed. They're gonna cease and desist. Like, stop talking about your fucking hypothetical movie. What? It's called Fuck Stuart Townsend. Why he chose to be in it? I don't know why he wanted to. He contacted me first. He read the script. It looked like a pretty big script. Like, did you read it all? No, then what are all these pages? It's just you screaming for like
page 25. Ah!
And then you got to drop down a little bit, and then you just got to really crank it the fuck back up, man. And that would be a great fucking film. I would.
Thorough recommendation from us. The Hellraiser Boom series, Volume 1 especially. I know later on they switched up. They get some new artists, new writers. We'll see how the series goes along as we continue to review it.
Hell yeah.
So in addition to that, any cool stuff on the horizon? How's the Macho Man comic coming?
Still waiting for Tommy to drop some shit.
All right, Tommy, if you watch this, we're expecting smart soon.
We're expecting just some concept art. Just draw me something on a napkin. Just give me a taste. I know he's been super busy, so it's kind of one of those things I gotta just write him a little bit.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later he'll start doing it. So he sounded excited though. He liked the idea. So
nice.
Worst case scenario, I'll contract somebody on the internet. Like, I can't pay you much, but once I tell you what the story's about, you're not going to give a fuck if you get paid or not. Hold on to your tits. Here we go. Fucking Macho Man, the Crow.
Yeah. So.
So we're working on it. So we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe
I've got my own comic that's going to be dropping next week on my mailing list. So if anybody's interested in checking out, so I'm going to try to like soft pitch you, and I'm a couple of glasses of wine deep. So
there we go.
We'll see how it goes here. But pitch for it is a bank robbery goes horribly wrong. Mm-hmm. The criminals involved have a series of 6 hostages, and they hightail it outside of the city with the cops on their tail. They end up having to stop at an abandoned old manor where they basically turn the whole thing into a standoff. As they are trying to negotiate with the police via cell phone, they start to realize that maybe they are not alone in that mansion. It's called Welcome Home. It's a 7-page comic. It'll drop. It'll be a digital PDF. It'll drop on my mailing list later next week. and yeah, it'll eventually make it out of that. But I really want folks to join my mailing list, so sign up for that.
I'm on the mailing list, and the first
Awesome.
few panels you sent on the cover looked really fucking cool. I'm excited to see this.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's Emilio Utreras doing the art for it. And he did some art for Keepsakes, my earlier comic book. He is a phenomenal artist. Like he's like his that sort of like heavy shadow style is not what he does for everything, but he's so good at it. Like I'm just like, no, just do the exact same thing you were doing before. It's like his like heavy shadow, very sort of like like scratchy, weathered shading. Like it just makes everything look so freaking cool. Like I love it. I absolutely love his work. So yeah, I'm happy to work with him again. Very happy.
No, I'm excited to see it. I liked what I saw so far.
Nice.
Your pitch has been great. My only critique would be to contact King Diamond and see if they'll do a special pressing of Welcome Home to follow it with him. Just hit him up. Like, I'll give you a cameo, King Diamond. I'll write up a new page. I already paid the art. Shut up. It's King Diamond. Just do it. Just write it. Just figure it out.
Yeah, somebody commented on one of my Instagram posts about it. And it's like, did anybody think of Welcome Home Sanitarium by Metallica? And it's like no, we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about King Diamond.
Yeah, I thought about
screaming grandma.
Yeah, I know exactly. That's all you need is just that. And actually, though, you I got to do some write changes, and you just replace all the dialogue with lyrics from. It'd be great.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll make a King Diamond version of it, and just like one of the criminals on the phone, like, "Grandma, what was it like?"
That's such a great fucking song.
Oh, album. Them is a fantastic album. I wasn't the biggest fan of Conspiracy. I know a lot of people really like it because it's a lot heavier.
Mm-hmm.
But the sequel, Conspiracy, is not, in my opinion, not as good. But I really love them.
I'll have to check it out. I've always enjoyed me some King Diamond. So, yeah, no, I'm excited to read the comic. I know you got some more stuff coming out, I believe. So,
yeah, I'm working right now on the full script for the next project, and it's gonna be. I've talked to you about it before, but it's the cyberpunk horror project.
Yeah.
So it's going to be. I haven't figured out an artist for it yet. It needs to be somebody different from who I've been working with before, and it's going to be a situation where I think I'm going to try to I'm going to save up my dollars, and I'm going to actually get it. I'm actually going to get the first issue of it drawn, and then probably try to put up a Kickstarter for the remainder of the series. So that way, if the Kickstarter fails, I at least have a thing that I can pitch out otherwise. But it's going to be so the idea of it is effectively a city in a world where technological development has gone completely differently. So in the mid 1990s, a series of hacker attacks effectively turned the public opinion against network technologies. So everything in the world is a super high tech version of things that were available in the 80s and 90s. So rather than streaming video,
you get my laptop.
Yeah, stuff like that, or instead of streaming video, they have super high definition video, but it's still on it's still on cassette tapes. They just use different types of tape, and the idea of when cops are wanting to check people's security cameras, they actually have to go to the place where the security camera is and get the tapes. And
I got a hack for it. And this guy pull out this big old laptop, and there's just this long ass cable running around to the thing. We can watch it from here.
And so in the city where this takes place, because of the overwhelming nature of trying to power all these huge analog devices that have the same capabilities of modern technology, it overwhelms the power system. So every night they have to do cycling blackouts, and it's all about the horrible things that happen when you're in a district that has no power for 2 hours.
Ooh, each issue can be 30 minutes of real time in that. That could be cool.
It's the first one takes place over the course of 2 different nights, just because I wanted to show like I wanted to show an event and an aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's it's going to be like that. I've sort of figured out my way in. I've had to rewrite the premise of it a couple times. Not the world, but the premise of the characters.
Yeah.
I've had them go from like working in offices to working in a bar, and just try to figure out different ways into this story, and try to set up the world so it can be explored in different with different characters in different ways going forward. But that's going to be my next thing. But I don't think I'm going to even start really trying to work on that until probably third quarter, maybe fourth quarter, because I really want to I want to get money together. I really want to do it right. I really believe in this, so I want to make sure I can get. I really want to make sure I can get everything up and running properly.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm excited to see it whenever you get some parts out of it. Any drawing stuff. I always thought it was a really cool idea when you told me about it. The blackouts almost seem kind of purge-ish, and it's a lot of cool things you can do with that.
Yeah, and it's that was a worry that I had about it, but I'm doing things so differently, and I've definitely been sort of inspired by recent events where you are having it's a situation where the power out in a neighborhood does not make everybody lose their minds and kill each other. But it is also it's an invitation for bad things to happen. So I'm definitely going with that and kind of working on this assumption that the majority of people in a situation like that are going to be good, or going to be they're going to behave themselves, or they're going to respect and defend their neighborhood and their neighbors. It's just the people that don't, or in this case, the things that don't, that are the problem.
The things.
Yeah, and I won't get into the things, but there are the things. And that's
Thing 1 and Thing 2.
yes. The Dr. Seuss characters are in.
That'd be great.
The final boss at the end of it is the Cat in the Hat, except he's like a cyberpunk techno cat in the hat.
Looks like it's Doom Cyber Demon.
Yeah.
It's all fucked up. I'd be like, nah, I'm good. I fought through the terrors of hell, beyond my mortal comprehension of anything. I have seen and done things that I will never, ever be able to wash off or forgive myself for, even if I had an infinity of lifetimes. But I will not go in that room with that goddamn abomination of God. Fuck that guy. Fuck that. I'm out. Boom. Just I'm done. We're it. We're out. Nope.
Yeah.
I will nope the fuck out of here so fast. Fuck that. If I see that green eggs and ham eating motherfucker, I'm just that's too much. That's too much.
All right, man. I think with this, I think we only had 4 issues to talk about. So I think we can probably call this a night a little early tonight.
We can, yeah. We're also Wednesdays. We do our
game night stream.
Game night. So typically we try to find games that are horror, maybe comic related, preferably horror comic related, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We go through and play, and we get to watch Greg. We learn how to play video games. Basically, it's great.
Yeah, the last time I played with any regularity was I believe was the PS2 era.
So this week we started with the Blair Witch PC game.
Yeah.
I think we're about halfway through it. I think we're a little over halfway through it. If I remember right, we were kind of trucking along pretty good through it. Yeah. We'll probably finish that up Saturday. Any recommendations or suggestions for games, let us know. Hit us up in comments. Send us messages. Or, don't. Just let us know if you have any.
Don't do anything.
Or don't do anything. I mean, it's here to entertain you. So, I mean, if you just want us to play shitty games, we will. But, if you think of a cool one, let us know.
All right. Yeah, so that'll probably be Wednesday. We'll definitely throw something up on the Facebook group if that if that event has to change for any reason. Mm-hmm. And we have a Discord. I'll put that in the links in the YouTube description for this. You can And we'll put a link to it in our Facebook group as well. And
Our Twitch is going to be getting overhauled here soon too.
Cool.
I'm working on some Twitch overlays and a website just as a good landing page that we can have information, maybe sell some stuff down the road. Maybe like bits and pieces of animals we find on the road. I don't know. I mean, whatever you
pictures of
buy,
roadkill.
Yeah, whatever you people will buy, let us know. And we'll absolutely upcharge the shit out of it and charge you for so much shipping. It's not worth it. So, but you'll still buy it because like, pictures of roadkill. I mean, where the fuck are you gonna see that shit? But yeah, we'll be getting some cool stuff coming up as we go along. You'll see some changes. Things may look a little bit better or maybe a lot worse. We're hoping for the best. So it'll be. I'm excited to see that. Like I said, we got that sweet intro video. We might find an outro video that could be cool. I don't know. It might be some skeleton dancing. It might not. I don't know. It's a sweet fucking video.
That's amazing.
It's so good. But yeah, so if we have a Discord, we'll be displaying that, which you can talk to us on there, make suggestions, whatever. I mean, we just opened it up. So I mean, it'll evolve over time. Maybe we'll do some giveaways for like Steam keys and things like that, or pictures of roadkill, whatever's cheaper for us as usual. So other than that, that's all I got.
All right, man. Well, it's been good talking to you, and let's do this again soon.
Of course. Hell yeah. We'll see y'all Wednesday probably. Yeah. So perfect.
See you folks around.
Yep.
Release the Howard cut.
Exactly.